We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email John at nufcmatters.com to arrange today.
Talking to myself again, but it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you,
good evening and welcome along to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Ray, that is talking to Toon with Sid from Songs from the Attic 1977. How are you, Sid?
I'm very good, mate. Yourself?
All good, mate. All good. This has been pre-recorded just a little bit earlier today, as Sid and I are both busy later on. So it is quite current, unlike some of the shows we've done in the past where we're maybe a day or two ahead. But plenty to talk about, as always, for the next hour. And you can chat amongst yourselves in the chat. Rob will be along in half an hour to talk music. But first, Sid and I are going to talk football. And Newcastle United kickstarted the Premier League season, as we all know by now, with a 1-0 win at home to Southampton. Give us your thoughts on the game, Sid, first of all.
Yeah, it was a strange one. I was expecting us to go in front of them. And it was bizarre because it was quite a flat start in terms of the atmosphere was all right. It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't terrible. Then, obviously, when the game kicked off, Southampton seemed to dominate, really. I thought that they certainly had the better of the first half an hour until the sending off. They were definitely the better team. Newcastle quite poor, very they looked tired. So I don't know whether obviously they're trying to get fit. It's sort of just still very early on. I don't know whether they've overtrained. Who knows? I don't know. I doubt it, but they just looked tired compared to sort of pre-season last week. I just thought it was a poor performance. I thought up to that point, the sending off really galvanised the players, galvanised the crowd. It's, as I say, it was quite flat, and then all of a sudden, it's as loud as I've ever heard the crowd in terms of the booing and the sort of haranguing of Southampton. It was magnificent. It was so loud I could barely hear or talk to the people either side of me, and I was really struggling to hear. So that was just magnificent. It must have been really sort of intimidating if you were one of the players. I mean, the lad who did it, the Diaz fella, he went to bits after that. He sort of went to bits. He'd had a good game up to that point, Brereton Diaz, and then he just sort of dropped off a cliff in terms of his performance because I think he struggled with the crowd and the constant haranguing of him and booing of him. So that was great. I thought the crowd were just superb. But it was just it was a strange game, wasn't it? I can't recall a game where Newcastle have had so little of the ball. I mean, Southampton was so dominant, and Newcastle didn't deserve to get anything really. But at the end of the day, put the ball in the back of the net's what it's all about, and they did. And Joe Linton scored a cracking goal actually, and I thought he was nothing short of brilliant. He was absolutely sublime. He was by far the best player on the park. Head and shoulders, just oozes class. I thought there were some standout performances. I genuinely think Pope makes such a vast difference. It's unreal. I don't think we'd have won that game without Pope being in goal. I think it would have been a draw. We might have even got beaten. I thought he pulled off a good save. But more importantly, he creates composure in the back four and confidence, which is the big one. I think the back four are really confident with him being there. I thought he was just superb. He adds something that we've not had for quite a time. If that was Dubravka in goal, we'd have got beat, in my opinion, or at least a draw. But Pope, just superb. I thought there were some good performances. Dan Burn was excellent. I thought Sean, I'm just looking at my notes. Yeah, Sean Longstaff, he had a good game. He was solid in that challenge when he went in and kicked the player up in the air. It was great. What was noticeable is after I didn't notice it at the time, obviously from being in the seats, but on the replays, he seems to stick his head in afterwards. And he again, if the guy went down, you could have argued there would be another red card. In a funny sort of way, his head was more prominent than the sending off for Shaw. And when Diaz just laughed it off. So it was a totally different scenario. So that was unusual. But Longstaff, well done. And I thought he played really well, actually. I thought he played really well. But but Big Joe was just phenomenal. Strong, athletic, fast, good touch, dictated play, took the ball off players. He was absolutely a complete 10 out of 10 performance, topped off with a terrific goal where Isak snatched on the opportunity. And very quickly, because you only have a couple of seconds or a second to make up your mind what you're going to do, some players would have shot in Isak's position, but he had the composure to look up, pick out a straightforward pass to Big Joe, first touch, and then banged it in the back of the net. Now, a couple of years ago, that would have been missed, and I was expecting it to go wide. And what's lovely, I recently discovered that Joe Linton, if we remember rightly, a couple of years ago when he'd upped his game, 2.5 years ago or so, and he got a performance person in to work with him and work on his performance. He's been doing it again, but this time with his finishing. So he's got a performance person in to look at his finishing, look to see how he can improve. And, I love that. There's a guy who is determined to be the best player that he can be. It's not just all about the cash. It's all about what can I do and what can I sort of do to go to the next level. And for him to get to the next level, be a genuinely world-class player, that is to score 10, 15 goals a season. That's what he's got to do, because at the minute he's scoring 6, 7, maybe he's 8 goals, which is good, but it's not amazing. You've got to be up to the 10, 15 goals sort of stage to become a truly top draw player. And I think he's got it in him. I do think he's got it in him. And I just thought he was magnificent. So well done to him. It was a backs to the wall performance. It was almost like a couple of years ago, wasn't it? When we started to stay up and we did really well. And because I was shouting, push up, push up, push up. You could see Eddie Howe doing that. It was like almost like a dance move. And they weren't listening. They were just staying back. Which again you can understand. I thought Kraft, can I just mention him as well? Terrific when he came on, didn't put a foot out of place. And I have to say, I think the lad, what's his name again? Yeah, I've got it written down here. Lloyd Kelly was just tremendous, because I thought Hall had a so-so game. He cleared the ball off the line, which was great. He gave the ball away a number of occasions, and you cannot do it. You can't do that. And defensively was found wanting on occasions. I don't think he's the fastest. But what I do think, and I've said this for a couple of shows now, I think he's a midfielder, and I think he's possibly a defensive midfielder, because I think he reads the game really well. So that, to me, or even an attacking midfielder, he's an intelligent footballer, but I'm not convinced he's a left back. He may persuade me otherwise. Whereas Lloyd Kelly, I thought, was really assured, and he just showed up the defence. He's big, tall lad, really fast, really strong. He just looked really composed. And all the reports from Bournemouth saying that he should have been in the England squad and all the rest of it, they don't look a million miles off. And he can play a left back, he can play centre half, and he may well be, as I said the other week, if he gets a run of games, even if left centre half, then Botman will struggle to get back in because he's quick, and we lack pace at the minute, unless we buy a centre half who's quick, and that may balance things off a little bit. But yeah, impressive, good win overall, and good teams who play poorly and win. That's what it's about, and we've not been able to do that for a little while. And I'll take that all day at the minute until the team's up and running properly and fully fit. Then obviously you'd like to see attacking and sort of, nice football, because at the end of the day we're there to be entertained. But yeah, good result overall. Southampton are quite a nice team. I think they'll stay up. Looking at that, if they get a centre forward, if they got a sort of a Chris Woods type, I think they'd stay up. They're just lacking cutting edge up front, aren't they? If they had a centre, Diaz missed 2 absolute sitters. The header, and then that shot wide from 7 or 8 yards. You should have buried that. And so yeah, I was obviously genuinely pleased. But they look a good team. They play nice football. That's probably as good as Southampton performance I've seen at St James's Park. So yeah, good result overall.
I can hear my voice. Have you not got your headphones in? I was hearing a bit of an echo there. Never mind. It's clear.
No, that's fine.
It cleared there. Weird. I don't know what was going on. Anyway, the performance of Lewis Hall, I guess, on social media got a little bit of criticism from some people, but overall, mate, we wouldn't have got 3 points if it hadn't been for that wonderful goal line clearance.
Yeah, it was a good clearance, and yeah, there are flaws in his game. And as I say, I don't think he's the quickest. I don't think him or Tina are lightning quick, or they're just decent pace-wise, certainly quicker than Target. but they lack pace, and that might be the ultimate issue in some respects. But yeah, I thought he played. I think he played all right, but was found out defensively a little bit. He can work on that and certainly improve the defensive side of his game. But without a doubt, Kelly looks a better defender. To me, just from using the eyes test, he looked a better defender. And I think Hall. I personally think he's a midfielder, and I'm stick by my thought that I could think he could be a fantastic defensive midfielder. But he also always looks for the forward pass. You can't. He gave the ball about 3-4 times away in the game, and you just cannot do it. You've got to hold up the ball, and that was our biggest weakness on Saturday, is the ball did not stick. Apart from Joe Linton, it didn't stick at anybody's feet. It just kept bouncing back to Southampton, and they just kept bombarding them. And against a better team, we'd have probably lost. But all hats off to the lads. Dug in, defended brilliantly. And despite possibly, and I keep saying this, and I said before the game, I said, oh no, it's Craig Pawson. He's one of the worst refs, and he was absolutely atrocious. He was atrocious all the way through the game. And to be fair, he was bad for them at times in the second half when Bruno was blown over by the wind and we got 2 free kicks towards the end. But he gave their number 8. I thought was excellent. By the way, I don't recall his name, but he was excellent. But some of their players were allowed to kick lumps out of some of our players, and nothing would happen. I think there was the moment where Gordon got through as well, and they blew it back, and it was never a free kick, and he was in on goal to possibly score. I just thought, I thought he was awful, and he spoiled the whole game. It was a red card. I'm going to put that out there. You shouldn't be sticking your head on somebody, irrespective. Absolutely weak red card. Probably more inclined to agree with Sunesh to some respect, where they probably both could have got sent off in some ways in terms of the one, Diaz pushing him over as a straight yellow. 2, simulation for being as if he'd been nutted properly, in which he hadn't. It was literally the guy. I think he put his head on him and he went down as if he'd been punched. It was just farcical, absolutely farcical. So you could argue that both could have got sent off. Shaw should have known better, though. Should have known better and spoilt the game. Other little things I want to pick up on. Gordon was so just out of the game, not fit. I'm surprised he started. I would have given him 20 minutes if he's clearly not played that much stick him on the bench and then bring him on, because there was things he wasn't doing that he normally does, such as chasing back and harrying players and closing things down. He was very sort of lackadaisical, but that's because I think he's not fit, not because I think he's had his head turned, because I don't, you know.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think he, along with probably a few others, mate, are suffering from European tiredness. You know, and bearing in mind he's not had a break for 2 years, with the exception of when he's been either suspended or injured. He's literally played two years on the belt. So, you know, a little bit of tiredness there. Bruno as well, admitting that he wasn't fully fit because of his international involvement. So things can only get better. Let's talk captaincy. Then it was announced yesterday that Bruno Guimaraes will be Newcastle United's captain this season. Kieran Trippier will be vice captain. How long he's here, I guess, is the question. Played for the under-21s last night in the 1-1 draw against Sunderland for 45 minutes. So at least he's had 45 minutes.
Yeah, impressive. Impressive that he didn't do that, did he? You know?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. And Jamal Lascelles, of course, is going to be club captain. Incidentally, a side note from that, indications are that Southampton now have an interest in taking Matt Target. He played 45 minutes as well last night. So potentially that game was being used to show fitness levels for maybe one or two players who could be departing Tyneside before the end of the transfer window. But yeah, Bruno Guimaraes, we talked about it briefly last week, but he's now been confirmed as the captain. Right choice?
Not sure. Because I wasn't happy on Saturday with the last 5 minutes where he basically took the player down 22 yards from outside the goal. I thought it was a ridiculous challenge. And it was, you know, they could have scored from a free kick from it. I thought it was a stupid challenge. And I said to the person at the time, that's not a captain's challenge. It's a daft, stupid diving in challenge, where if they'd had a world-class free kick taker, that could have been ones each. It was a stupid challenge. He probably is the obvious candidate in some respects, because you're going to play every game. And as I said last week, I thought he showed a real maturity in terms of not getting booked on that consecutive run of games where we'd have all put our mortgages on him being booked. So that was great. But yeah, I was a bit miffed. I was miffed after that challenge the other day, because I envisaged Southampton to go on and score there, you know, and you can almost see him sticking his head in his hands and going, "Oh, what have I done?" And but he leads by example, rather than, I think he's not going to be one of those big talkers on the pitch that you get with the likes of sort of Barry Venison or Trippier. One of those great captains that we've had. I think he's going to be more your Peter Beardsley type of captain, who's going to show and lead by example rather than shouting around the pitch. And that's fine, because if you look at Newcastle, they've actually bought a number of players who've been captains at other clubs. Botman was a captain. Obviously, we've got Lascelles. We've got Kelly was a captain at Bournemouth. We've got, who else have we got? We've got a couple more as well. I'm trying to remember who we've got now. I mean, if they go and get Gay, there would be another captain. So they've bought a number of players who've been captains, and I quite like that, because you don't have to have the armband to show you're a captain on the pitch. And Tonali, sorry, I was thinking of Tonali there. He was also captain as well. So you've got a number of players who've been captain of their clubs, which always bodes really well for a dressing room and for being on the pitch. So yeah, I can go along with it, but I just don't want to see him hacking anybody but down outside the box from 22 yards again. Please don't do it. Middle of the park, absolutely fine. No problem. Take him out, but not outside the box. You know, that was my gripe.
Nick Pope was a big myth last season. Come back in the friendlies. You know, we can see that he's back to his best, and certainly back to his best with a couple of really important saves at the weekend as well.
Yeah, the save was tremendous, wasn't it? You know, but as I said earlier on, that sense of assuredness that he gives and security amongst the back four, and they just look at him, they feel comfortable with him, they're happy with him, they know he's going to come out, collect the ball, and there's just that real sense of confidence. He's just top notch. You know, if he could kick, he'd be in the top 5 keepers in the world. If he could kick like Alisson, he would just be, you know, he'd be right up there, because I think he's possibly the best shot stopper in the Premier League. he also commands the box really, really well. He's just he's terrible with his feet, you know. And it's unfortunately a big part of the game now, you know. It's a big part of the game, but the rest of his game is just fabulous. And what a great acquisition he's been, just top notch. So if we can keep him fit all season, we're absolutely laughing. What was a real surprise was seeing Dubravka on the bench ahead of the other fella. I was genuinely shocked. So that tells me that they don't rate him. I mean,
I think he's going to go out on loan.
Yeah, so that tells you a lot, doesn't it? They spent a lot of money on him as well, by the sounds of it. It's cost quite a lot of money. Obviously, it'll be over 5 years, but we've spent quite a bit of money on him, which is a shame because his record at Benfica is exceptional. You know, and the Premier League might harp on about these deals that have been done, but the guy has got credentials at Benfica. He's won the league. He's played Champions League football. He's played for his country numerous occasions. So he can't be bad. And he looked all right pre-season. I'm just amazed Dubravka gets ahead of him. Really surprised. I think Dubravka will go. I would not be surprised to see Newcastle go back in for Trafford now. And possibly loan him back or stick him out on loan for a year. And then let him come and compete as the number one. Or stick him out on loan with the option to bring him back should Nick Pope be injured. That's what I would personally do. Sorry, my dog's having a bit of a growl here.
No problem. I mean, obviously, from our perspective, you know, transfer window is still open. We've got 11 days to go before the end of the transfer window. Do you want to go and sort the dog out?
Well, give us a sec. Yep.
So the dog's quieting down a little bit there. So
it's a 10th birthday today, so it's
happy birthday to the dog. Probably after some cake, but yeah.
Mark had noise now. She's busy rolling around the carpet. I might have to move her out in a second. Sorry, go on.
No worries. So Mark Gahey is obviously the topic of conversation as far as Newcastle are concerned. It's gone on and on and on, longer than Duracell batteries last. And from our perspective, it hasn't, you know, had the end result that we were all hoping for. And talk now of Crystal Palace potentially wanting 70 million plus add-ons. Is it time to walk away, Sid?
Yeah, 70 million's nuts. You know, you can get a number of really top draw centre halves for 40, even 45, maybe less. I mean, go and do the scout. I mean, obviously they must have a list a mile long. What you get with Gay though, and I think this is quite important in terms of the formation, is that he's able to play in a 3 as well. And I see Newcastle varying their style of play over the year, going from 3 to 4 to 5 at the back. And I think Gay's one of those players who can adapt to all of those formations. And he's got what we haven't got is pace. And I keep saying it, but pace is key. If Botman comes back as his partner, great. Because it's almost like the old Chelsea days where you've got a defender like the John Terry type. Maybe he's not as good, Botman, but you've got a good old-fashioned defender. And then you've got a speed merchant who can cover anything that goes over the top. Because last year, would Gay have maybe stopped Liverpool beating us last minute at home? He might well have done, because our 2 defenders couldn't keep up with their set with Nunes. We've got a defender then who can keep up with them. We need pace at the back. That's why, and I know I might get shot down for this, that's why I would start Lloyd Kelly ahead of Hall in the back 4, because of the pace factor. You've got to have pace in the back 4. And at the minute, we've got no pace, or it's two average paced fullbacks. I want to see at least 1 speed merchant in the back 4, preferably 2, because they can make up for any errors that they used to have, you know. So that's what I want to see. You know, you've got to have pace. Pace kills, you know, whether it's going forward or whether it's defending, but pace kills. And that's it's no surprise that if you look at our front 3, they're all pacey. You got Gordon, you got Murphy, you got Isak. All 3 of them are lightning, you know, and it just kills. Therefore, flip it the other way around. If you've got a slow defense, you just don't need to knock a ball past someone and run past them, you know. Otherwise, we're defending really deeply. We can defend further up the pitch with a bit of pace, and so I want to see pace. Pace is what it's all about for me. So there we go.
obviously 11 days to go in the transfer window. Could still be some outgoings. I mean, Miguel Almiron's still at the club. Jacob Murphy's still at the club. Sanusi now making a move for first team football, not going to go out on loan. So potentially he could be in and around the first team squad for the rest of the season. Is the need for a right winger as urgent, as it always has been if nobody leaves?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got to have the Gordon equivalent on the right, who's going to bang in 10, 15 goals a season. We've got but also contribute a lot as well. Gordon contributes a lot. You could argue Barnes, we haven't seen enough of him. He doesn't look like he contributes an awful lot at the minute, but he does score, and that's obviously a form of contribution. But I would like to see a little bit more overall play. We just need somebody. I would personally, and I've said this the other week, I would possibly flip Gordon and stick him on the right. Go and buy Gay, and then once you've bought him, last minute, go and buy Eze. Go and buy Eze from Palace as well. He's got a release clause. Enable it. That's what I would do. That would annoy them, wouldn't it? But I think he's a top player. And also, did you see the goal Eze scored the other day, which was disallowed? He was on the right. Eze played on the right. So he's right-footed. He can play either side. He would personally be my choice. He would be my choice since we couldn't get Elise here.
I mean, I know it's cutting your nose out to spite your face, but I wouldn't do any business with Palace. I'd just make them stew in their own mess. There's better players out there. Gomez, of course, is not very happy at Liverpool, the fact that he's been left out, and talk of potentially Liverpool going in for Guehi now and maybe willing to spend 70 million plus, and that would mean that there would certainly be no place for Gomez at Liverpool, and Newcastle might be able to sign a Premier League quality centre half without having to worry about the finance. So it might all work out. Lots of rumours, lots of things starting to happen, but it's been a poor transfer window for everybody. I've heard some people say it's been a poor transfer window for Newcastle. It's not over yet. Mitch and Stu keep pointing that out on the shows that we have on. We've still got 11 days to go. Judge the transfer window at the end of the transfer window.
Yep.
It's best way to do it.
For me, a successful transfer window is if we have 2 or 3 players who are starting 11 players. Yeah. Not building up the squad, starting. So that means a right winger, it means a centre half, and it maybe meant a new goalkeeper, or it might mean a new left back or right back or whatever it would be. But it would be somebody. It would be another player. So
we just need strength in depth, and we'll get there. We will get there. It won't happen in one transfer window or 2 transfer windows. It'll happen in successive transfer windows, and gradually Newcastle United will build a squad capable of challenging, and eventually they will get to that stage where they have 2 11s, which is what you need to be a regular competitor at the right end of the table. So it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen
2 or 3 this year. I think we'll challenge.
It's not going to happen overnight at Newcastle with PSR. You know what I mean? Newcastle are having to do it the hard way. So and unfortunately, because the takeover went through, and we've been so used to negativity, and we've been so used to disappointment, so used to struggles. It is difficult because everyone's expecting immediate success, and we're a victim of our own success in the sense that we're qualified for the Champions League and we've already been to a cup final. We're slightly ahead of our time, and some people don't like to hear that because they'll go, yeah, but in the 90s we were the entertainers and this, that, and the other. But in the grand scheme of things, every season now you can go into it and go, this is great. We're not going to be struggling against relegation. We're in a position now where we can just sit back and enjoy. And sometimes we're going to win games, sometimes we're going to lose games. We're not at that level yet where we can say every week when we go to St James's Park, we are going to turn teams over by 3 or 4 goals to nil. And at the moment, I would say enjoy that, because when it does get to the stage that Man City are at, it can become boring. We've seen some fans, get bored with it. So, be careful what you wish for. The grass isn't always greener. Just enjoy the process, trust the process, and enjoy where we're going. It's halfway through the show. Let's have the ads. We'll be back after this.
A big thanks to all our sponsors. Skips and Bins. You can find their website at skipsandbins.com. Contact us, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. Their website, mrvickies.co.uk. Email info@mrvickies.co.uk. Telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to United Group Travel. They are the Travel and Tourism Award winners in 2024. Their website, www.unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com or telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. Just £30 per person deposit. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. A big thanks to Media Arts. You can find them at www.media-arts.co.uk. And don't forget, we are a podcast. You can find us on iTunes or Spotify or other podcast providers. If you want to help the channel grow, then hit the like button, the little thumb underneath the video, click share and share to your social media, or join the channel for as little as $1.99 a month. If you want to take out a one-off payment membership, go to nufcmatters.com and hit membership. And for a £25 fee, you get a scarf, a cup, a pen, and a membership card. You can also put a smartphone over the top of this QR code. It'll take you straight there. And don't forget, we also help the food bank on this channel. NUFCfansfoodbank.co.uk is a website where you can make a virtual donation today.
And it's good evening to Rob from Give Up the Ghost UK. How are you, Rob?
I'm very well. How are you both?
Very good, Rob.
mate.
Good to
All
see
good.
you.
Really good.
And this week's album that you won't be reviewing is this one. Yeah,
Unbelievable.
interesting cover. Interesting cover.
Unbelievable.
It's a good job this is for over 18s, this show. But you are going to review an album, and this is the guy you're going to review it for.
Yeah, this is our very good friend, David McNairn, who lets us use his business premises for rehearsals weekly and twice a week. Massive support. And Dave, we all thank you very much. We really, really do appreciate your support for our band. It's just such a generous thing to do. So yeah, this you gave me a choice of a few albums. One was Thin Lizzy. I think Sid done that recently. So we're going to go for Boston's first album. If you look at the cover of it, for years I thought it was a spaceship. If you look at it closely, it's actually an upside-down guitar.
All right.
Yes.
I know. I was staring. I thought that's. I don't know. A strange sort of jellyfish or something unusual like that. So yeah, this was their their self-titled album, 1976. It's 4 singles, More Than a Feeling, which we would all know. Long Time, Peace of Mind, and 3 singles off that one. So opening songs, More Than a Feeling. To me, it sort of sums up this classic 70s rock. This one. Just before they go into the first chorus, if you listen to guitar chords, it's exact same. It Smells Like Teen Spirit. So yeah, apart from that, and doing Killing Joke's 80s for Come As You Are as well, but it's definitely exact same guitar chords to it. Again, it's a timeless classic, this one. The backing vocals on Boston could easily be the lead vocal part on it. This song just ticks every box as 70s classic rock. Got track number 2, Peace of Mind. Really strong, well-delivered vocals again by Brad Delp. Beautiful harmonies again. Really good, sort of quite an uplifting song. One of his foot-tapping tunes. Again, classic rock drumming, sort of, like Bill Bruford from Yes. So that sort of proggy, sort of rock style drumming. You got Foreplay. Again, a prog feel to this one, definitely. Yes, Emerson Lake and Palmer, brilliant drum work. Again, I can hear that Bill Bruford from Yes is one of my drumming heroes. It's sort of like got a mad scientist sort of atmosphere about this one. It's different, but it's okay. So then you lift the vinyl up, you spin it over, and you put on track side number 2. you got Rock and Roll Band. This is a song, a little story about the band, how they started off and their dreams and ambitions. Again, classic rock, open sound, solid arrangements, nice reverb on the lead vocals. That's I really do like. Really good guitar solo on this one, which I think Craig, our guitarist, would appreciate. Then you got Smoking. Sort of reminded me of Tie Your Mother Down by Queen. Very, very similar. It's sort of like a fast-paced blues influenced song. Sharp, nifty, snappy. Very good guitar licks on this one. It's a keyboard solo. As soon as I heard it for the first time, for our older viewers, it will remind you of listening to Sale of the Century by Nicholas Parsons, that keyboard sound, sort of 70s and 80s program. Then you got Hitch or Ride, classic guitar intro again, sort of gently delivered on lead vocals, good drum intro again. Backing vocals could have been used as lead vocals once again on this one, but it's quite a relaxing, moody song. You got Something About You, more of an atmospheric opening to this one, bang straight into the drums, trademark Boston sound. To me, so far, I mean, I can't help talking about influences and things you pick up on when you're older. It's like Queen meets Asia, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, yes. Brilliant song, really, really good song. And finally, track number 8, Let Me Take You Home Tonight. Sort of nice to end the album on, and a really sort of pleasant song again, well-delivered vocals, really, really good. Good production on this album and a whole. It's not a filler on this album. Again, it's all I can say is a classic 1970s rock, production spot on. Again, thank you, David McNairn, for the opportunity to review this album and listen to it for the first time in my life, and it's getting an 8.5 out of 10 for me. And before I go, Sid, you'll like this one. Just arrived in the post, already sold out, triple gold vinyl.
All right, yes.
Beautiful, sold out already. It just arrived just the other day, so I'm over the moon with that. Really, really good.
And you got another gig coming up, Rob?
Yeah, this Friday we're playing away. With our friends at Tolerated, they supported us when they came up to Montrose. So yeah, Friday, I'm not sure what time or sound check and that sort of stuff, but we've got a final rehearsal this evening, go through all the songs, do our mental notes, and then just get ready for Friday. So yeah, a big gig, looking forward to it. There's a lot of buzz and a lot of hype about this one.
Good stuff, good luck with that. Sid, what have you brought us this week on the music front?
I've gone local. I felt it was about time, and I've gone with Lindisfarne. Nicely out of tune. The debut album from 1970. Came out November 70, reached number 8. It's got the classic lineup, Alan Hull, guitar and vocals, Ray Jackson, vocals, mandolin, harmonica, Rod Clements on bass, violin, Simon Cow on lead, acoustic guitar, mandolin, banjo, and then Ray Laidlaw laying down the beat on drums. For me, Lindisfarne should have been much bigger than they were. Mm-hmm. I see them almost as the British version of the Canadian outfit, the band. I really see them almost as the sort of the British version of that. And the little anecdote is when I was a little kid, we used to live in this awful area in Benwell, Sutton Dwellings, and Alan Hull's mother lived downstairs to where we lived. And I used to go and play downstairs in Alan Hull's mother's sort of living room. The flats were just awful. I can still smell them. They were absolutely terrible. The album is just an incredible album. It really is. It starts off it just highlights the sheer genius of Alan Hull. It starts off with Lady Eleanor, which is one of the most beautiful songs that I've heard. The production's great on that song. It's got like this weird phone thing going on in the background, which is superb. Road to Kingdom Come by Rod Clements is excellent. And he was the sort of other songwriter. He'd maybe get a couple of tracks on each album. I've got quite a funny anecdote regarding him. My mate Ken Burns puts on a buskers evening over in Jarrow area sometimes. And this guy gets up and sings Meet Me on the Corner. And he goes to the guy after and goes, I try and beat that. And he goes, beat that? I bloody wrote it. You know. So yeah, Rod Clements is the next guy getting up. Quite incredible. You know, this guy's just incredible. The sheer temerity of it all. But well done. So the third song of the album, Winter Song, written by Alan, and Elvis Costello describes it as one of the greatest songs ever written, and I totally agree with him. It's almost like a mix of sort of Dylan lyrics with Pete Shelley. It's got this sort of beautiful description, but also this sort of down-to-earth sort of lyrics, just brilliant. We've got Radnoke's song on there, Turn a Deaf Ear, which is a really great live favourite. Clear White Light, one of the greatest set of opening harmonies to any track. This rivals the likes of the Beach Boys, the band, all of those. Just an incredible opening and a lovely drum beat coming in. It's just marvelous. Go and listen to the album. Then we've got the Psychedelic song, which has almost got this pastoral sort of Genesis XTC feel, which is it's what's called Alan in the River with Flowers, which is a sort of mixtape of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds in some respect. So let me know. Yeah, we've then got Down. It's got a Kinks feel to it, a bit like sort of Mr. Pleasant, that sort of thing. The Things I Should Have Said, Rod Clements' great melancholy song. Jackhammer Blues is a Woody Guthrie sort of humorous song, sort of laying down their sort of folk roots. And then the last song on the album is Scarecrow song, which is beautiful, melancholy. Just a great debut album. It's one of the great debut albums. The only gripe that I've got is I think the production could be better. Whereas Fog on the Tyne is much better production because they've got Ken Scott producing it. This one's just a little bit, it's all right production-wise, but it could be a lot better. But it's a 5-star album and it's remarkable, really is remarkable. And Alan Hull did go on and make better albums. His first solo album's even better again. You know, it's just top-notch pipe dream. If you get the chance to listen to that, that's as good as the Beatles' White Album as far as I'm concerned. So there we go. That's my album review.
And the book?
The book, very quickly, I've gone with A Star Called Henry. I don't think I've done this. If I have, I do apologise. By Roddy Doyle. Famously, of course, the man who wrote things like The Commitments and stuff like that. It's funny. It's dark. It's really brutal at times. It's based upon the 1916 Easter uprising. He's got a fictional character called Henry Smart, and he gets to meet all the sort of Irish figures of the time, like Michael Collins. As I say, the story's dark. It's funny. There's a real sense of almost being there. The description is so good. You can almost imagine being in those things. It's almost you almost imagine reading it to a pint of Guinness. It's really got something about it. It's a fabulous text. It's a fabulous reimagining, if you like, of what was going on through the perspective of this guy. And it shows the true horrors of what was going on as well. Just superbly written. So Roddy Doyle, just great writer, one of the great writers. So there we go.
Great stuff, as always. Rob, thank you for joining us, mate. We will join you again next week to find out which album you are reviewing, mate. Take care.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye. Look after yourself.
Cheers, man. Bye.
Good to have him on. And you've managed to load some stuff on the Songs from the Attic, 1977, said, or was that?
Yes. We're up and running now. This album that's actually going to be on there soon. But we've just done post-punk, top 10 post-punk albums, which is it was good crack. That good, some good choices, some unusual ones, some albums that I'd never heard of as well. Jeremy, the American guy from New York, he picked some really unusual choices. So that was good. It was good fun.
All right, good stuff. And Sid is going to be jotting an article as well for us for the up-and-coming fanzine. I make no apologies for giving this a bit of a plug on the show today. The NUFC Matters fanzine, it'll be the first one. Issue 1 will be out 1st of October. Thanks to everybody who subscribed. We're only going to do 200 copies. 20 of you have subscribed already in the matter of a couple of days, which is fantastic. It is £20 for 4 issues. You can go to newcastlelegends.com and you can subscribe to the magazine there, and we will post them out to you. But quite a few of us going to be involved, and all proceeds going to Dementia Matters, which is fantastic. Okay, last 15 minutes of the show. Talk about Carabao Cup first. Newcastle, of course, entering at a slightly earlier stage because they have no European football. Our second round trip to Nottingham Forest is going to be shown live on Sky Wednesday, the 28th of August at 8 o'clock. Tickets are now on sale via the club website. Another away cup draw to another Premier League side. Sid, are you getting a bit sceptical about these draws? Are they picking the warm balls?
Absolutely. And I say this because Man United had something like 11, it might be 12 home games off the trot in the League Cup. And I went on a line. I texted me mate. I can't remember what the odds are now, so I'm going to be making this up here. So I do apologise. But it was something like something like 1,200 to 1 to be able to get that many consecutive games off the trot at home. You know, to get that many games off the trot away from home must obviously be not far off it, of course. It's an absolute farce. And we couldn't have picked a more difficult game. You know, we got Notts Forest away. That was probably the hardest team that we had in our whole group that we could have got as an away game. It doesn't sit well with me. I think is the nice way I'm going to see it. I don't buy it. It just feels, it just doesn't feel right. You know, I was hoping we'd get an easier draw, obviously, but also, how does Nottingham count as the North?
I know.
I mean, how you know, I have big gripes about what I class as the North, because I messaged a friend recently, because I don't even class Liverpool and Manchester as the North. So I don't think they're very impressed with that. Anything north of Middlesbrough is what I class as the North. It's a really tough game. The plus side is Tonali gets a run out. I suspect he'll start. He might get an hour. Might get an hour out of Tonali. I suspect that's what I would do. Yeah. And then replace him rather than sticking him on as a sub. And then obviously he can play the following game as a sub for 20 minutes or so, or 12 maybe, against Spurs. It's a really, really hard draw. It's a really, really hard draw. And of course they've got Elliot Anderson's going to be up for it. Got Chris Wood. And they're not a bad team, Forest. They're not a bad team at all. It just stinks. Because this is the cup I really fancy us to win, but it ain't going to be happening if we keep getting every game away from home. You know, like last season, Man United, Man City, away, man. It's just a farce. It's just a farce. I mean, what happens if we win this? We get Liverpool away in the next game.
Yeah, I know. It's just crazy. It's crazy. We are all of the same mindset that this is just, you know, it's too much of a coincidence now.
I mean, I would get rid of all of this speculation, and I think there's an easy way of doing it, and it's just doing one of those algorithms that you can do in a classroom or wherever. You just put it on a spin, and then it just comes up with random numbers, you know. Or you go down the route of doing like a bingo hole, and the numbers come out that way. And I think that's also another way of doing it. You could probably have 3 or 4 little sections set up for the North and the South and all the rest of it, and you could do it that way. And I'm sure someone will go, oh, yeah, you can put heavier numbers on the ball, heavier paint on the numbers. But, you know, I'm sure it's much more difficult to sort of, you know, it's much. I'm trying to do this very in a clever way. It's you know, it's fairer, I think would be the phrase I'm going to use. It's a fairer way of doing things. And I would like to see it done live on TV. I'd like to see it done live properly, as I say, where there's no ex-pro going on and randomly picks out his own club, you know, as a home game, you know. So, and even if that was ours, you know, and Shea Given who picks up Newcastle United, I'd rather it was, you know, independent of all of that sort of stuff. And, you know, my personal viewpoint is go down the bingo route, but there you have it.
I mean, just looking at the season ticket situation as well that came up this week, we didn't mention it yesterday, but Sunday there was a mild state of panic going on social media, which isn't uncommon, of course, but iPhone users found that the 24-25 season ticket had gone missing from their wallets since Saturday's game. If you are catching up and you're late to that particular party, the remedy's simple. Just check in your expired passes section of your wallet and unhide the 24-25 digital season ticket if it appears in there. Any other issues, they'll obviously contact the box office before the next home game so that you're not standing outside. The strike situation as well, just another thing I wanted to give a mention on the show, and thought this one would be a good one to do it. Just keep an eye on the potential industrial action which could happen. There is talks today on Tuesday, you know, hopefully trying to end the strike. But if there are going to be fresh walkouts, it's going to be 22 days and it's going to be over successive weekends between the 31st of August and the 9th of November. So that's going to be every Saturday and every Sunday in that period, the whole weekend. I mean, that's ludicrous for football supporters. So let's hope they do find some kind of remedy some kind of situation, and they do manage to sort that out. The next game, of course, which won't be infected by industrial action, is Bournemouth away. Tickets have already sold out. This is our longest journey of the Premier League season. It's a 370-mile trek if you haven't done it.
Bournemouth further than Southampton, is it?
Yes, it is, just slightly. And it's a 2 o'clock start this coming Sunday. It is live on Sky. Only 1,350 away tickets for games at the Vitality Stadium. As I say, it's already sold out. Team news, very early for team news on a Tuesday, but we do know that we won't have Lascelles, Botman, Miley or Wilson, who are all sidelined, and we know that Fabian Schär will join Sandro Tonali on the suspended list. There's also an early return to his former club for Lloyd Kelly, who played for Bournemouth in their last competitive home game, which was a 2-1 defeat by Brentford last season in May. What did Bournemouth do at the weekend? Well, they kicked off with a 1-1 draw at Nottingham Forest on Saturday. They are unbeaten at home in their opening home game in all competitions since 2017-2018. But there will be a notable absentee for Bournemouth. Dominic Solanke, of course, joining Spurs for 65 million. He was their top scorer, and he was the striker who netted both goals in this correspondent fixture last season. They have acted quickly to replace him. They've got Evan Nielsen. He is expected to make his debut following a club record move of £40 million from Porto. The Brazilian made his senior international debut last June in the same side as Newcastle's Bruno Gomes. Big game this, because it's our next one. It's been an interesting place, shall we say, to go to over the last few seasons. Of course, we lost 2-0 with Solanke getting both goals. Previous to that, we drew 1-1. With Almiron getting the goal in 2019-2020. We had a 4-1 win there with Gale, Longstaff, Almiron and Lazaro getting the goals. A couple of draws before that, Rondon and Ritchie and Dwight Gale netting a brace. And in 2015-2016, we won 1-0 with Perez getting the goal. You then got to go back to the 90s. We drew 0-0 in the FA Cup there, and we lost 2-1 in 89-90. With Mick Quinn getting the goal. Unbelievable when you think how few times we've played Bournemouth. They seem to have been around for ages, but they haven't been around that long. So yeah, big game this, as I say, because it's our next one. We need to improve, Sid, I think, on last weekend's offering to get anything from Bournemouth.
Yeah, because it was very lackluster, as I said earlier on. I want to see that high intensity. We'll have had a whole week. So this is what all the fans were saying. Oh, we'll have had a whole week to recover. There's no other interests there. We've got all of that going on. The lads will have the likes of Gordon will have a week to sort of raise their fitness levels a little bit more as well. So I think it'll be a very tough game. As I say, it's their first game of the season. It's always hard to win the first game away from home, especially in this situation. I think I'm going to edge with a draw. Which I would take. I'll have to say, the big thing for us though this year is our away form has to significantly improve on last year, because it was woeful. And if it significantly improves, we'll do massively. We'll do really well. We'll do really well. These are not a bad team. I think people underestimate them. I think they've got a really good manager. They've got some quite nice footballers. They're a tidy team. Bearing in mind they are technically the smallest followed club in the Premier League, I would say. But they're not a bad team. They play good football, front foot, fairly sort of attacking. Got some, as I say, got some decent game winners there, but nothing that would make you panic. Now that Solanke is not there as well, who I rate. I don't think he's outstanding, but I think he's pretty good. Then yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Howe does regarding the formation. And as I say, I would put Kelly in. As I say, he knows the ground really well, and he'll feel comfortable on the pitch. I would put him in as left back. And as I say, I know I'll maybe get shot down a little bit and say, oh, Hall's done nothing wrong. I just personally, I'll prefer to see more of a defensive player put in that position.
All right.
Go for it.
Good stuff. All about opinions. You've got a draw. We'll find out what the rest of the guys this week find as a prediction. I'll give mine, as always, on Friday. Thanks to Rob from Give Up the Ghost UK. And thanks to Sid, as always, from Sums from the Attic 1977. Get yourself onto his YouTube channel. Go and subscribe. Content is incoming again on the channel, so all is well. And Sid, look forward to catching up with you over the next week or so. Take
Take care, folks. Look after yourself. Bye-bye.